what I'm presenting today is a new tool that I've been working on called Shiftspark, and it addresses the problem of money in politics in a way that's actually going to even the playing field. And I'm very serious about this, and that's going to happen with this tool, or if you use it, it will at least. And so I guess we might as well just get right into it. And before I really get started, I just want to say, to answer all of your questions up front, yes, it is legal. It's the #1 question I get, so I just want to say it up front. All right, let's go to the next slide here. You just push the, yeah, all right. So I started off, this is a little background on the problem. I'm sure you're all familiar with it. It's going to be quick. I started off doing high-dollar fundraising for that guy over there in 2008. And I was then a new media director after that. And so I was there in the room when he raised $1.5 million in a night. And I was there when 40% of his money came from low-dollar donors. And if you look at the difference between Mitt Romney and Barack Obama, you can see that a lot more money comes from small donors. Go to the next slide. And if you look at Congress, though, you can see that really it's the big donors who are running our country, running our democracy. But there's something that I learned on the Obama campaign that isn't immediately apparent, which is that even though Barack Obama received more money from low-dollar donors, he still didn't talk to any of them. It just gave him more time to raise money from rich people. And so, next slide, you can see why. There's just too many of us. He can't talk to all of us. It doesn't matter how many of us are giving small-dollar donations. The voice that we have stays pretty much the same. Next slide. I mean, doesn't this just look easier, right? So it's not really any wonder or question why Americans are concerned about corruption and why they don't think the government works for them. So here's the problem. We've got small donors lacking influence. We all know this. This is the problem we love to hate. Everybody talks about it. Citizens United. The problem is that small dollar donations, their money literally talks less. I mean, you've got rich people. There's not as many of them. It's easy for them to coordinate through bundling. We can't coordinate. We're all over the place. Their ability to coordinate through bundling and give large sums on a contingency basis gives them access and enables them to signal issue preference. And the need for money in politics, that's not going anywhere anytime soon. We can have a whole discussion about that, but I'm speculating at least 50 years for any meaningful change. Again, on the other side, we can't coordinate. There's too damn many of us. As a result, it's not worth any politician's time to solicit our opinions personally. And this means we have no access and no ability to signal our preferences. So, can we solve this problem? Yes, we absolutely can. This is why Shiftspark was invented, to solve each one of these issues in turn. So, the way, whoops, actually go back for 1 second. So the way we do this is through contingent donations. And what are contingent donations, you ask? It's basically what large donors and lobbyists already do. Now we go to the next slide. This is Barack Obama talking to a lobbyist. He's like, I need money. And the lobbyist says, all right, that's great. But first, a quick question about taxes. And I like that you laughed, because my dad laughs at this slide, but he's the only one. And so I don't really have a great sample size, but now I know it's funny. So on to the next one. So the Shiftspark site allows organizers to pool money for or against issues and target politicians. And so money from everyone is held by Shiftspark, so that the politicians know that it's real, it exists, it's on the site. However, the money is only released at a later date depending on what the politicians do while they are in office, right? So it's contingent upon their behavior when they're actually in office. So if your politician doesn't do what you want, they don't get your money. But if they do what you want, they get your support. It's like having your very own super PAC or your very own issue PAC, and anybody can start one. So I just want to talk for a minute about how this could revolutionize the way we do online organizing. The first is it allows us to measure influence. People who use this, we're able to measure what their engagement is like and what their influence is. And I'm not talking about likes. I'm not talking about shares. I'm talking about how much money individuals and organizations can drive to candidates based on issues. It allows us, as a result, to identify influencers. We can find those people who are driving the most amount of money and put them in touch with politicians who are going to want to talk to them. And that creates a class of citizen lobbyists, right? Or organizational lobbyists in a way that we don't have right now. Right now, lobbyists are people who are paid a ton of money by other people with a ton of money because they have a ton of money, right? But this enables us to do grassroots lobbying and identify people who can drive change and drive support in a language that politicians understand through the internet, and then put them in touch with elected officials. It also allows us to expand the base. How many people have tried to raise money for a candidate? Raise a hand. Or an organization. Anything, right? Or tried to tell your friends to vote. Who tries to get other people to vote? People don't want to do that shit. Why don't they want to do that? It's very simple. The explanation I get the most is, I don't want to vote. This person isn't going to do what I want anyway. They're all the same. I don't want to give money. It's not going to matter. It's not going to make a difference. They don't care. There are people with more money out there. When you say to them, listen, you make a donation, you only pay if you get what you want, it makes them much more likely to take that action. If you lower the barrier to entry for giving money, you lower the barrier to entry to voter participation as well. Because studies show time and time again, if people give money to a candidate, they give money to an issue, that they're significantly more likely to vote. And as a result, you're going to empower the people in an age of Citizens United. So perhaps the best way to demonstrate this is just to show an example. So we've got a site, it's shiftspark.com. We've just put this thing up in time, basically, for today. This is a petition of a guy named Bob. And if you want to exit this and just go to, Chrome, and boom. So this is Bob's petition. And so it's really me, whatever. That's my username. But the important thing to note is that what we have here is we have two issues that I've decided to target. Hydraulic fracturing, and I'm hitting Jeff Klein, because he's leader of the IDC, which are critical votes in the New York State Senate. And we've got universal background check, and I am targeting Heidi Heitkamp, who in my conversations with organizations has come out as the #1 swing vote. Everybody agrees that she's the major swing vote on gun control. She's a Democrat from wherever, I don't know. On her profile it says, it's like Colorado or Utah or something, I don't know. The important part is she's a very critical vote. And so this went up maybe 48 hours ago. I sent an email to a couple of friends that was like, hey, I'm presenting on Saturday. Well, subject line was, quick favor before Saturday. That tested very well. People opened it. And it just said, listen, I'm presenting on Saturday. Do me a favor, throw some money down on these issues. Fine. I asked them for a personal favor, and little did they know that they were contributing to change in America. So in 48 hours, though, what's interesting, in 48 hours, we have, what, $200 for these issues. If I had just done one issue, there'd be $200 on one issue. And that's what can be done in 48 hours. Now, there's maybe, I don't know, 80 people in this room, something like that. There were 100 people here yesterday. Now, we're all organizers. If we had had a petition that we wanted to do, let's say Jeffrey Klein, and everybody had done their petition, sent this out, in 48 hours, we should be able to raise something like $20,000. At the end of the day, Jeffrey Klein's going to have an election. And I'm going to go and I'm going to tell this guy, listen, you can have $20,000 if you come out strongly against hydrofracking. And if he doesn't do that, I'm going to take my money back. And when we take the money back, what's going to happen? You're going to get a pop-up. It's going to say something like, oh, Jeffrey Klein didn't do what you wanted. Would you like to give it to his opponent? And if you give $20,000 to an opponent, I don't care who it is. State Senate race average cost is $300,000. You put $20,000 up, $20,000 is going to make whoever their opponent is instantly viable. Jeffrey Klein doesn't want that. Nobody wants, well, I mean, we want that, but no politician wants that. Nobody wants their candidates to be instantly viable if they make the wrong decision. And they don't want that money going to PACs that support that issue, that could attack them. They don't want that going to nonprofits. They want it for themselves because they want their district to be safe. And so this is how Shiftspark works, to hold politicians accountable, to drive money in a new way, and to allow us to pool our resources in a way that allows voice to be attached to small dollar contributions. And that's it. I've got some handouts if anybody wants any.